Hey y'all, welcome to the Max Life. I want to share with y'all something I think that is going to really be beneficial for you and very interesting as well. So if y'all saw the last video that we did, I did a pantry tour of all of the things that I have, whether it was canned, whether it was water glass, whether it was freeze dried, dehydrated, or bought or frozen. So lots of different ways. I have pantries and places all over the house where we keep our food. But for today, I'm gonna park it right here in front of the shelving area that is right in our laundry room where we do things like process our milk. But I wanted to get a little bit more detailed with y'all about canning, what all you can put in cans, and I'm going to be doing a free workshop just for you guys, teaching y'all, if you're interested in learning the very basics of canning, everything that you will need for hot water bath and pressure canning, and teach you guys step by step how to do that. When I finish up this series, you guys are going to be seeing that because I want to help y'all get your pantry stocked as well. So you're going to see me sharing this book a lot. This is a Ball Blue book. Now, some of the things that I have in my can come straight from this book, but I'm going to be honest with you, some of those do not, because I feel like it is beneficial for my family, and we're fixing to dive right in, and I'm going to be sharing some of those things with y'all right now. Something that I did not get to share with y'all on my main tour is individual jars, what I have in my jars, why I have them in my jars, things that you can put in your jars that Mr. Ball Blue book may not tell y'all. Fruits is one of those things. Here's pears, pineapple, jams and jellies, caramel that I wanted to make canned condensed milk, but it turned into caramel, so that's okay too. It's absolutely gorgeous. Some other things that I have are carrots, peas, squash, corn, dill pickles, potatoes, green beans, English peas, lima beans. And now, before I go any further, I want to tell y'all about two things that I have right here that I deemed good for my family. I'm not recommending you do this by any means. Canning is one of those things. I'm going to tell you what I do is good for my family. So squash. This is cut up squash that the Ball Blue book is not going to recommend you can. My family loves it, and we have eaten it many times. What I do to can my squash is once I wash the skin really well from picking it up off the ground, I cut it up, I cold pack it, so that just means I drop it down in my jar. I add some salt, boiling water into my sterile jar, put my hot lid on, then I pressure can this things. Now, I have seen times variate from 30 to 40 minutes. I usually tend to drop closer to about the 40-minute range. And then I have canned squash where all I have to do is strain the water off of this, get my skillet nice and hot, put some butter in there, pop my squash over in there, let it get nice and brown on that side before I flip it. It does not get mushy, and I absolutely loved canned squash. Now let me tell you about my dill pickles. Pickle crisp, I don't even know what that is, so I don't like it in with my pickles. When you hot water bath, and I'm going to be teaching y'all in my free workshop that's going to be coming out here very soon, the difference in hot water bath and pressure canning, because a lot of people don't know the difference in those. When I hot water bath my pickles, which is just a form of cooking them, what do? They get soggy. I don't like that. My kids don't like that. So I asked on a group that I'm a part of. There's a lot of older ladies, way more experienced in this group. I also talk to a lot of our locals. I like to, if I'm not extremely comfortable with something or just haven't heard of it because it's not in the book, I like to ask around, find out what other people do. I had somebody tell me about a process called open kettle, and if you're not familiar with that, go look it up. It will be one of those things that you will have to deem beneficial for your family and I did for mine. So this is called what's open kettle, or basically, again, I wash the skins of my cucumbers really well, cut them up, drop them down in my jar, had my water and vinegar mixture really hot, poured it over into my sterile jar. I did not cook these. All I did was flip them upside down. My lid sealed because my jar was hot, my lid was hot, my mixture was very hot, and it sealed. Now I have crunchy pickles and not soft mushy pickles. And here's something that I found real interesting on my meats. I have beef, chicken, pork, and this is chicken broth. All of those come right off of our farm. The real interesting thing is there is so much other things you can put in your jars just besides that. Y'all, everything I'm sharing with y'all about canning and what I have in my pantry is just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do when it comes to canning. Now, you can put beef tips in jars, you can put roast in jars, you can put vegetable soups in jars. There are really, the sky's the limit. It is so cool. My potatoes, but you can do potato soups. You can do all kinds of soups where your jar, you literally just put your meal in the jar, pop the top off and warm it up. It is the coolest thing to be able to can. And if you don't know how to can, y'all, please come to my canning workshop. It is just going to be a published YouTube video where I teach you guys all the basics. Canning is such a vital part here on my homestead. It might actually be a little bit of addiction. I have become to absolutely love it, but knowing that I can take my food, prepare it, put it over into my jars, put it on my shelves, I don't need refrigeration for it, is such a blessing to be able to do that for our food pantry and for the health of my family. Now, here's a couple of more of those things that I'm telling y'all I have learned from people that are more experienced than me, mammies who've been doing this for a real long time, and it has served them well for their entire life. So I thought, just because Mr. Ball Blue Book says don't do it, some of these skills have been done for a really long time. So I know that if Mammy's been doing it for a really long time, and Mammy and all her family's been okay, I'm going to do these things as well. So here is some canned milk. I would use this just like I would evaporated milk. You're not gonna find these kind of things in the book, so you would have to do like I did, reach out to other people, find Mammy, find a group, find some people that have been doing this for a really long time, ask them some questions, canning things that are not in the book. So this is our milk. Like I said, I would use this just like I would be using evaporated milk. Times like when we're not milking our cow, I store milk freeze dried, I store milk canned, and I put milk in the freezer. I use all of those together. I use our whey. I do not let that go to waste. I use our buttermilk after I make butter. I keep that as well. Put that in my freezer, so then when we're not milking our cow, I have ways to make pancakes and biscuits and things like that that is still using our milk products. And here to me is two of the most simple ways to put up fats that I have ever found. When you render down lard, and you can see this is from our pig, it's not perfect, but it is absolutely beautiful. The lid is sealed, it is wonderful. When I render down my lard, I do not process it in any other way. It is not hot water bath, it is not pressure can. I treat it just like the open kettle. I put my lard in, I make sure that my lid is really good and cleaned off, and flip that hot lard over and let it seal down, and this lard will not go bad. Super cool in my opinion. Also, butter. This is our butter that I made from our raw milk. When I eventually run out of freezer space, I have to do something with my butter. So I learned how to can butter. This is gonna be part 2 of the series that I'm gonna be showing y'all, is canning butter, because it is just that easy. Now, I do pressure can this butter. You're gonna hear a lot of mammies call this ghee. I just still call it butter. I was not raised up on the term ghee, but essentially that's what this is, and I absolutely love having it in my pantry. I was not familiar with the process. Again, Mr. Ball Blue Book is not gonna tell you how to do that. So I found a local Mississippian Homestead Heart, watched a lot of her videos, watched lots and lots of other videos on people. I felt really comfortable with doing it. I had lots of jars put back And whenever we were going through our calf sharing with our mamas, they just don't put off a lot of butter fat. So that of course means I wasn't making a lot of butter and I was using my canned butter. This is my last jar, y'all. So I'm gonna be taking what I have began storing up in my freezer now that we are not calf sharing anymore and canning that. And I'm gonna show y'all, after all of the basics, I'm going to do a part 2 series of watching me can, and you guys are going to be able to see that as well. Now, after I feel like I have talked to y'all a little bit more about my cans and my jars, y'all have seen what I have, even down to water glass and eggs. And if you say, hey, you know what, I have farm fresh eggs that I want to put up, I have a whole video on how to water glass eggs, y'all. It is really, really easy. Get those jars over on your shelves so you don't have to buy store-bought eggs anymore. Don't cut yourself short and give away your eggs when you could be putting them on your shelf for the winter when your girls are not laying as many eggs. You have given all the ones away from the summer, and when you see somebody that has a need and you're able to meet that need, of course always meet that need, but don't give them away just because you feel like you have to give them away because they're going to ruin. Learn to water glass those eggs because they won't ruin. I hope that with me telling y'all about my Ball Blue book, even you not using my Ball Blue book to put things away in my pantry, has really helped y'all say, hey, you know what, I can do this, I can stock my pantry. There are pros and cons to canning, of course. Of course, there's the expense with buying the jars. A lot of times you can find those at estate sales. Go to secondhand stores. Look at some places like that. A lot of times you can find used jars. And honestly, if you go to estate sales, Mamie's jars, the quality of their jars, I actually have found some that were really old, are made much better than what you can buy today. Now, I have an all-American pressure canner, which I really, really love. It's very heavy, it's very heavy duty, and it's going to last me a really long time. But it also comes with a heavy cost. I went ahead and invested initially for a heavy duty pressure canner because I wanted it to last me a really long time. There are no rubber seals, no rubber gaskets, anything like that on my pressure canner, so I knew I would be saving money there. However, there are so many pressure canning companies out there. Presto is one that I think of. Very cost effective canners. Y'all don't make excuses. You can get a canner and you can still can. It really does not matter the name brand. I would just advise you, if you pick one up from a yard sale or pick one up at a estate sale, make sure to have somebody check that just for cracks, for your pressure gauge, to make sure that your pressure is where it's supposed to be. They can check all those things for you. You also want to do things like make sure your vent is working properly. So if you do pick one up, contact your local extension service. Sometimes they have people that will be able to do that for you. Another con is, it's a kind of a pro-con together. I love the fact that I can physically be able to do this kind of work. It is a huge blessing, but it is indeed a lot of work. So when I get ready to can, regardless of what it is, even when I can something as simple as the lard and butter, you always have a process of prepping and cleaning up. When you are using your pressure canner, it is a process of preparing your food, getting it in your jars. Your canner has to vent steam. Then the process there, which y'all are going to see me teaching more about, is when you get it over in your canner, it has to vent steam for 10 minutes. It has the process for the amount of time required. Then it has to cool down. So considering all those aspects, if you pop open your book or you look at your recipe and it says process for 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it says, you have to take into consideration the vent steaming 10 minutes, the process time that it says, plus the cool down time, which is usually another 15 or so minutes, to let it pressure down to where you can take the lid off. So it is time consuming. It usually takes me a half a day by the time I prep, get everything in my jars, get cleaned up. That's one batch. If I do or 2 or 3 batches, it is usually almost a whole day ordeal. So it is a lot of work. All the things that you've seen in my jars have been days and days and days and days and days worth of work that you have seen, but it is so worth it because I know what is in these jars because I put them in there myself. I know all of the ingredients in it. I know where it was grown from, and I know that if I ever needed to feed my family. Say we didn't have lights, we didn't have electricity, the power's out or whatever. I don't have to worry about trying to run to the store. I don't have to worry about trying to cook food because I already have food cooked. The pressure canner cooks your food. So I already have shelves of cooked food. Hey, I want to get more on my shelf. Hey, I want to get more in my pantry. Hey, I want to learn how to prep to can, or I want to learn how to pressure can. Y'all can do this. I'm going to walk y'all through it step by step because I know the vital importance of having things in your pantry for your family, whether it's fruits and vegetables, whether it's meats, potatoes or fats, jams and jellies, whatever it may be. Y'all can do this. You got this. We can do it together. Get items in your pantry. You're going to want to stick with things that your family loves, because obviously you don't want to put something on your shelf that your family doesn't like. So y'all stay tuned. I've got one more video coming up about our pantry. It will be coming out next. We're going to talk about other ways to preserve food to put up on your pantry. Then we're going to jump right into our canning workshop for you guys, and I hope y'all are learning a lot. Stay tuned for that. See y'all next time. Happy homesteading, y'all.